For residents in the majority of the world, it would be the first motor vehicle they would ever see. Since 1948, Land Rovers have been climbing mountains, traversing deserts, slashing through forests, and crossing rivers, making them the weapons of choice for adventurers and extreme rally competitions, like the famous Camel Trophy. Since 1948, Land Rover has claimed that it is the best 4x4 by far. So is it? I'm not going to get into any food fights with the Jeep owners out there, but this thing is really cool. This is a 1989 Land Rover Defender 110, and it's a turbo diesel. You know, many people believe that after the apocalypse, all that's going to be left are cockroaches, Keith Richards, and Land Rovers. There are 50-year-old Land Rovers still all over. Before the Toyota Hilux, the Land Rover was the choice of every revolution. The first Land Rovers were actually just home-built projects. The head of styling for the Rover Car Company, after the war, actually had old American service Jeeps at his disposal, and he wanted something for his farm. So he cut up a bunch of Jeeps and made the first Land Rover in a central seating position, long before the McLaren F1. So while the Range Rover came out in the 70s, it wasn't until the late 80s that Land Rover decided to add an additional model, the Discovery. So what had been known as just the Land Rover, or the 90 and the 110 for their wheelbases, they decided, hey, you know, let's call it the Defender, and then we'll add the Discovery. So in 1989, which is the year that this one was produced, you started seeing the Defender badges come onto the vehicles. Defender 110s came in a number of configurations. You had 4-door models, which are actually worth the most. Then you also had 2-door models like this one. Now, this is actually my preferred configuration because you get 2 bucket seats up front, but then you get room for 4 in the back. Not only that, but if you have a couple of kids, you can sleep them back here on these, or if you want to camp with adults, these fold up. And now I'm 6'4", and there's enough room here. In fact, it's 6 feet 5 inches, and you can actually put a thermarest down here, and it's a tremendous place for sleeping. With a pillow and a blankie, a little bit of popcorn and some s'mores, this is perfect. Since 1983, the 90 and the 110 had featured coil spring suspension, full-time 4-wheel drive with low and high range gears, and the center differential that was locking. People often make the mistake of thinking that the 2.5 liter turbo diesels, or the 2 liter diesels that followed it in the later models, that they're actually really powerful, and they're really not. You're looking at around 80-ish horsepower, and It means that in a vehicle of this size, if you hit a hill, you better be in second gear or carrying enough momentum. Otherwise, you're just going to slow down. The Land Rovers are really in their element on mud and snow and logging roads. Yes, it has a top speed of around 75 miles an hour with the 5-speed version, so you can drive it on the freeway, absolutely. But it's really happier on the B roads. So what's it really like driving it? It's totally anachronistic. Forget your crossover, take it to the mall SUV. This is the real thing. The ride, well, it's loud, it's bouncy, it's heavy, it's slow, but you feel like nothing can stop you. Steering, well, it's not really communicative, but it's agile enough so you know where you're placing your wheels. Acceleration is dreadful. 0 to 60, let's call it Volkswagen Westphalia slow. Braking, not too bad. Shifting on this 5-speed is actually a wee bit on the Porsche side. Throws are really long, and if you're uninitiated, it's really easy to go from 2nd into 5th gear. But once you get the hang of it, it's not too bad unless you really try to rush the shifts. What kind of amenities do you get here? You get, well, heating and ventilation, although part of the ventilation just comes from opening these vents on front. The owner of this one has put a more modern stereo in it, but other than that, it's just a big diesel lump up there. Transmission, and the ability to lock your differentials so that you never get stuck. If Jeep is known as the mountain goat, then it's probably accurate to say that the Land Rover is the woolly mammoth. It is totally anachronistic. It's big, it's slow, but it is sure-footed, and it is unfreaking stoppable.